Greetings, friends. It's Krys, Peaceful Human Advancement. So, unity consciousness. I'm going to talk about the big picture because someone has to. And that's part of my role. That's why I'm here. The Emerald Tablets talks about all causes having their effects. It talks about how each soul has its role to play, that there really is no as above or below. There really is none above or none below, all each playing out a certain role for the greater whole. The person that you see yelling and screaming about the coronavirus, complaining about this and living in a low vibration is just as godly, just as divine, just as a loving, love-filled as the saint that you see sitting on top of a mountain chanting Om for 6 hours a day and eating a grain of rice. In consciousness, there is no ascension. It's funny that you just said that, yeah. In true consciousness, there is no ascension. There's only experimenting. I was just reading visualization, memory, confidence, problem solving. So self-expression, interesting words that popped out on here on the chessboard. So in pure consciousness, there is only expression of soul, only expression of source. Each part of consciousness is working something out so that the greater whole can be more whole, be more holy. Okay? In order for God to be all things, it must be all things. So we get to a certain point on our journey when we don't see the person, we don't see the murderer as evil. We see them as us. We see them as a byproduct of a society that has lost its way. What do I mean, a society that's lost its way? Or we see it as a soul who is still very much young in its infinity. What do I mean by both of those concepts? What I mean is, once a soul knows better, it does better. Once a soul truly evolves, it aligns itself to the higher frequencies of the universe, and it can't go back to how it used to be. It won't go back to the lower vibrations. It can't, because consciousness only moves itself forward. And the message of this video is that what we would consider as below is just as important as what we would consider as above. That which is below is testing and trying things from its level of consciousness to offer up and experiment with for their whole, for the all. So I don't have any. Okay, so let's say that this is the all. This is the source. This is God. This is spirit, whatever you want to call it. This part of itself goes out and it says, okay, in this incarnation, I'm going to see and experiment what it's like to be a egotistical person who only cares about money. This one says, okay, I'm gonna go experiment what it's like to be a single mother and have my partner leave me. This one says, I'm gonna go experiment and see what it's like to be a millionaire and give all my money to charity. This one says, something else, something else, something else. So you get the point. But they're all stemming from the same source. So this one brings back the knowledge and wisdom that it gained. This one brings back the knowledge and wisdom that it gained, and it brings it back to the source and to the whole. Now, when the all is finished with its out breath, its breath of God, its breath of life, and it has all these experiments and all these different galaxies and all these different universes and all these different aspects of itself, and it breathes in and it learns and it experiences and it breathes out again a different fabric, a different reality, a different dimension, and it just does this over and over. This is really big stuff. We aren't acting from an individualistic point of view. We are accessing multiple timelines at once to experience as much of ourselves as we can. We are, when I feel into source, I feel it all. I feel the what's the word? The ravaging urge to want to experience life and have like kind of a kid in a candy shop, just kind of like, just out, 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 out. But then I also feel the serene presence, the wisdom, the knowing of itself. How does this relate to where we are now as a human species and moving ourselves into a higher dimensional way of being, into an interstellar species? We are learning to see through the lens of totality, a higher vantage point that understands that you can't have a penny, that you can't have $100 without having a penny. You get it? So the penny becomes very valuable to the millionaire, to the one who's made it. You see? The penny becomes really one of the most precious parts of the millionaire's, billionaire, trillionaire, quadrillionaire's bank account, because they understand that without that penny, they would never be the quadrillionaire. And these pennies are what we would call low vibration, or what we would call, they're so 3D. Yes, they are. How are you supposed to get to 5D without 3D? So when you're seeing from this vantage point, what you're really seeing is the whole spectrum of light. You're seeing the root center, the root chakra, the root, the groundedness, right? The one who needs to learn how to survive, the one who needs to learn how to sustain itself, the one who needs to know how to reproduce in order to continue itself going. You're seeing the crown, and above too. You're understanding the whole spectrum now. You're getting the big picture instead of just being here and just seeing the survival and the war and the tension and the competition, or from just polarizing yourself to, I'm an advanced being, I'm a starseed, I'm this, I'm that, which is an egotistical trap. Yes, those characteristics may define or describe parts of you, but the second you define something, it ceases to be what it is, because the greatest form of intelligence is in knowing and in being. The second I say I'm a starseed, I've then cut off that meaning of what a starseed is. Why? Because the second source projects itself, it ceases to be that pure form. You see what I'm saying? It ceases to be that. It is now a dog. And we project what a dog should be. And we kind of lose a little sight of what source is. Or it is a woman. And now all of a sudden we're playing the role of a woman. Or it is now an advanced yoga practitioner, or an advanced yogi, or it's a mystic. So now all of a sudden, it doesn't matter what title, we are now losing that pure memory of God, of Goddess, of truth, of Christ, of Sophia, of the presence of I am. So we are calling you back home, not by labeling yourself, not by looking at the 3D world and saying, oh, it's so 3D, but by choosing to experience the light of truth in each moment. By choosing to feel the presence of God, the presence of Source in each moment that you can. When you decide to bring forth God and the truth in any interaction, you transform that interaction. If God is within me, it must be within you. If it's within you, it must be within that lamp. It must be within this fingernail. It has to be in everything, or it can't be in anything. It can't be in the saint and not exist in the sinner. It's in the sinner. The only thing that makes a sinner is that it has forgotten itself. And whenever I say itself, I don't mean its identity. I mean the principal energy that moves through it as the sinner, if you will. From this space of being, and this space of consciousness, and this state of knowing, all things are possible. I am the light. You are the light. We are the light. I say this all the time. If I turn on a light in a dark room, that darkness ceases to exist. I do not fight the darkness. I do not resist it. I do not do anything other than shine my light. We must see from the lens of unity if we want to become an interstellar advanced people. When you see through the lens of unity, you can't be harmed. I'm not saying go jump off a bridge. But what I am saying is that you will have no desire to want to even go jump off a bridge. You have no desire to be anything other than what you truly are. Life and light to you all. Keep beaming, keep shining. If you'd like one-on-one guidance and a plethora of areas, telepathy, ET contact, galactic contact, inner light energy tuning, remote healing, www.peacefulhumanadvancement.com. We say this in truth. We say this in love. We say this in gratitude. We lift you in spirit. Keep beaming, keep shining, dear friends.